Ladies and gentlemen, it's Wednesday. Most people know it as Hump Day. So I wanted to create something different for this HBCU experience. I wanted to create the Hump Day Huddle. This was inspired by the man that we're here today to hear from. His name is Dr. J. Aline Hud. He's bringing us here today on the Hump Day Huddle. This your guy, Derrick Hayes. I go by the name of the Entertainer. Follow me on all social media platforms at Entertainer and even on Cash App. Dr. Hud is a friend of mine. Dr. Hud is a thinker. Dr. Hud is a grower. Dr. Hud is a trainer. He helps the people that are lost. He helps the people that are found. Many people come to his doorstep. And for a lot of years, I kept seeing all walks of life come to him, different races, different religions, different political parties. And I asked him one day, I said, Dr. Hud, why is such and such coming to see you? And his words stuck with me to this day. He said, everybody wants to know the truth. So today we here with not with Paul Pierce, not with Errol Spence. We're here with the truth. Dr. J. Aline Hud. How you doing today?
Beautiful, brother. Beautiful. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, man. Like I was joking with you backstage. I said, make me feel like I'm Kobe and you MJ, you Michael Jordan. You know, like you try to, hey, if you gonna hang with the best, man, you gotta learn from the best. You know, you never.
Well, like I said that, like I always said that if you're the smartest one in your crowd, you're in the wrong crowd.
You're in the wrong crowd.
So you always need to be seeking higher ground, you know.
And Dr. J. Aline Hud, he's the founder of Project Rebound Inc. Can you tell us a little bit about Project Rebound Inc. and why you got started before we get into the huddle?
Sure. Well, basically, I guess in order to all my life, basically, I guess I've been dedicated to the redevelopment and the resurrection of human society in general, but specifically society of people of African descent. And so therefore, I'm always looking for ways that we can improve our ability to survive in this difficult world. And so once I was proud to me coming back to Columbus to work and to live. I was in Detroit. And then when I relocated back home, in 1986, I went to teach at Tuskegee University. And as a result of that, basically, I was dealing with a lot of issues in Tuskegee at the time. And so I had a chance to kind of bring some of the knowledge and the experiences from Detroit to bear on some problems there. And then when I was asked to come to Muscogee County School District by a dear friend and fraternity brother, Percy Griffin, then of course he asked me to come and help. We need to save our children. He said, "You're the man to do it." And so I resigned from Tuskegee University as the chair of the social work program. And then for the first couple of years, I just kind of watched and just kind of getting my bearings on what was going on. And that was like 92. And so basically I decided that what we needed somewhere for children, one, to be taken off the streets doing suspensions. One of the problems was that there was a very high dropout rate, there was gang violence, and there was a very high retention rate. Each of those, to me, was interlocked. The retention rate was basically saying, well, students who did not meet the grade, then we're going to retain them. So you had children in 7th, 8th grade, 15 and 16 years old. So you know that basically they'll drop out. They're not going to, that meant that if you're in this 8th grade and you're 16, then that means that by the time you get to the 10th grade, you 18, so that's a dropout. Then we had the problem with young people who will be suspended from school, and during that suspension, they get out in the streets, and what child wants to really go to school rather than be in the streets? I mean, if this way all his friends is, that's why children cut classes to get back. So you're throwing the rabbit into the briar patch. In other words, to suspend a child who don't want to be in school anyway. So basically, they would make them again dropouts, and then they did not know what to do with the game problem. And of course, I dealt with that issue. So Project Rebound was a process where I wrote some grants, and we got funds for what we call homeless children programs. And also at that time, Mayor Bobby Peters, who was the mayor, we were having a lot of problems in the community. And we went to him and said, well, look, we need somewhere for our young people as opposed to being suspended on the street, because if you suspend a child, he's going to hang out with the gang. He's going to get high. He's going to be robbing and stealing. It's going to be things like that. So as a result of that, I said, we need to have somewhere with children that suspensions are not what I call educational death sentences. You understand? In other words, a suspension should be a social suspension, not an academic suspension. So my thing was that, look, the child should be suspended with homework. With homework. Don't just put a child on the streets without any homework. Then when they come back, they are 5 days, 6 days, maybe 10 days out, 2 weeks. That child basically is a dropout in the making. So my thing was, send them to us, and we're going to identify those youth that are having chronic behavior problems. Send them to us before you even suspend them. If you had to call a child to the office 3 or 4 times in 1 week because of misbehavior, or you suspend a child within the last week or so, you suspend a child basically 2 days here, 1 day here, 2 days there, 3 days. Basically, hey, that child, nothing is working. Send that child to Project Rebound. So the long and short of it is that as a result of that, we developed a citywide coalition that today is Family Connection, and some other programs. For example, like New Horizons has a program called Day Treatment. Project Rebound was the predecessor and the model for that. Juvenile Drug Court. We counseled and consulted with the people who were doing the Juvenile Drug Court, and they modeled their program after Project Rebound. We're a nationally recognized program as well. And of course, that's what they say, many times the prophet is not received well in their own home, in his own home. So therefore, we having a lot of problems again today. That Project Rebound is the answer. But what we did for basically peanuts, they're paying millions and millions and millions of dollars to people outside of the community, as opposed to people who are here, who know the community, and they know the streets, know the families, and giving us resources. But that's a whole other story. But that's long and short of, that's how we started Project Rebound. And then there came a time, it's just like with a baby. There comes a time that if a baby stays in the womb too long, they call it stillborn. Right. There came a time when it was just obvious that Project Rebound had outgrown the dynamics of the school system. So therefore, we were birthed and basically moved into the community, moved into the state, and moved into the country. It also internationally as a program model for parent involvement and for student retention. And so that's kind of the history, a little brief history on Project Rebound Inc.
I appreciate that. And if you want to, for more information on Project Rebound Inc., go to the website, www.projectreboundinc.org. Once again, we on live.
And also, if I just want to say that also my telephone number is also 706 221 4830 706 221 4830 is our telephone number, so we feel free to give us a call as well.
Once again, we on the Hump Day Huddle. Dr. J. Hud, CEO, Executive Director of Project Rebound Inc. Go to the website, projectreboundinc.org. Once again, what's the number again?
706-221-4830.
All right, now, Dr. Hudd, through the word huddle, I have a few questions for you so that people can get this insight. You know, it's going to cost them hundreds of dollars to sit down, you know, one-on-one with one of the top psychologists of the world. This brother just told you he international. So the H is for history. Speak a few words on why it's important for others to know about their history.
Well, I put it to you like this. If you go to the doctor, to your physician, one of the first things he's going to tell you is to fill out a form and give me your medical history. If you go to apply for a job, they're going to ask you your work history. If you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, they want your credit history. So we're just saying is that the notion of history, we call it, and by the way, Swahili is really the Pan-African language. So we hope that within the next 20, 30 years that just as American is an international language, English is an international language, Chinese is an international language, Arabic is becoming an international language, but also we hope that Swahili will be an international language. And we say that it's an international language for business. When you say international language, that means that there's a reason why you want to do business that speak this language. So therefore, for example, French in our school systems, you know, French, Spanish, Latin, you know, German, you know, Chinese, obviously English, American English. These are languages because these are languages of business. So Swahili is for the Pan-Africanist world is our language of business. And so I use that to say that there's a concept called Sankofa, which means that before you go forward, it might be a good idea to look and see what your past has been. And so therefore, when we talk about history, it's important that ultimately that you learn how to deal with the present by looking at the history. In African philosophy, we have a different way of looking at life in the world than the Western world. In the Western world, people talk a lot about the present, and they talk about, and they kind of shun the past. They always say, well, we don't want to live in the past. No, nobody, you don't have to say that because you can't live in the past, but you can bring the past into the present. You know, if you know, and if it's a good past, that's a good thing, but if it's a bad past, it's not a good thing. But in the West, they think a lot about the future. But this is the thing, is that in African philosophy, we think about understanding the past, and we also understand the present, because our position is this in African philosophy. Yesterday is history, is a story, okay? Tomorrow is a mystery. We haven't lived tomorrow yet. Today is the present, it's a gift. So therefore, ultimately, we have to live today. But if we're going to live well today, we need to know the successes and the failures of yesterday so we can improve them today. We can't put off for today, for tomorrow what we can do today. So my point of it is that there's different perspectives. So the importance of history, because if you think about African culture, everybody knew, for example, you know, Africans as a rule, we have long names because the names are really, and that's part of what you teach your children. For example, my name really would be going back to the Katoka and the Maasai out of Cameroon. This is all part of my name now. Then it became basically White, became Hood, it became Blanton. In other words, all those names that my people are known by, Jackson, You see, all these are my names. McBrides, Third Kills. Now, in the African culture, if you introduce yourself, you would tell people pretty much all those names. You would be giving them your history off the rip, so they would know that basically that's who you are. That's your DNA. You follow me? So therefore, the notion of history is that you have to get back to the root. Now, there are two levels of history. It's more difficult for us to trace. Now, of course, I've traced mine all the way back to millions of years, and my DNA goes back to around Chad Lake of Central Africa, coming across the northern portion of Cameroon, northern portion of Nigeria, which you got the Hausas and that and then look at the Maasai and the Kitoko people of Cameroon. Those are that's my lineage on the macro level. So, but on the micro level, today we are American Africans. We have been broken up, but we have to focus today on our macro names. You understand what I'm saying? Now, our macro names go back into our national and our tribal names. So, for example, today you hear a lot of people talking about their national identity. When we talk about the Chinese, that's their national identity. You talk about the Italians, their national identity. Now, they also have what we call basically, that's more like the Italian is, or the French is more like an ethnic identity. You follow me? Because they're part of the European nation. And of course, the Europeans are the children of the lineage of Japhite. We're not going to get into that today, but they come from Japhite. Okay, now, when we talk about our history, we go back to the beginning. Everybody else but us has a date that people say, this is your history. Now, it's like this. You as a father, you can tell your children their birth dates, right? But the only way you know your birth date is that your parents told you your birth date. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. Now, so therefore, nobody was here before us. So we are the original people. We are the chosen people to plant this earth, to be planted in this earth. So all people come from the original people. So therefore, a simple way of understanding our people is to understand that we are the Aboriginal people. We're from the original people. Then we get into, for example, you get into the Asiatics. The original people, the black people, were called Asiatic. The whole earth was known as Asia. That was East Asia that we know today, where China and Russia and all that is. Then you had Middle Asia, and that's Africa. That came to be known as the Middle East. And matter of fact, they used to have a term called the Near East and the Middle East. No, you don't hear much about the Near East these days. The Near East was Africa, but you don't hear that term much these days. Then you had West Asia. West Asia, that's the Americas. That's why you find so many sculptures of us in the Americas as well, because we had civilizations around the globe. You can go all the way around the globe, you're going to find statues. When we talk about the importance of statues, yes, statues are very important. Whoever basically the victor builds the statues. So that's why throughout the world, you find that they try to destroy our statues throughout the world, because whenever they go into a country to take over, they eliminate the heroes of that world. Okay, then they take the significance, and they many times we call it they demonize the heroes that kept them independent, and they made them satanic images, and they become the more angelic images. So that's the rule of the conqueror. So my point of it is this: the easiest way about history is on the micro level is to do a DNA. And if you're going to do a DNA, do it through African ancestry. Don't do it through Ancestry.com or or one of these other European oriented, do it through African ancestry. They're based out of Howard University, and they will be able to do, because they specialize. You know, the other people, they just want to get your money. So they don't specialize in us. They don't come from us. But African ancestry, they specialize in us. And so therefore, that's the vehicle that we went through for my family. And that's how we found out that basically the Chad Lake, northern Cameroon, northern Nigeria, that's the path, and that's the area of our people historically. So you can do the same thing. But when I talk about on the macro level, we are the original people. We are known as the we came from Kemet, so we're the Kemetians. We are known throughout history as the Cushites. We're known as the Nubians. We're known as the Egyptians. We're known as the Arabians. We're known as the Hebrews. We're known as the Moors. Okay, and of course we're known as coons, Negroes, jungle bunnies, slaves.
We're gonna move to the next part, because it's a term you always talk to me about. You always talk about Ujamaa.
Right.
Tell us about the importance of Ujamaa.
Ujamaa. Okay, let me share this with you about Ujamaa. There's an African proverb that says, many hands make light work. Many hands make light work. Now, the reason why I've been dwelling a lot on the issue about philosophy, African, what we know of today is African, and I've already led to you that, you know, that we know that there's some the other names that we know as well. But what it basically says is that we are a communalistic people. That's not communist. That's not socialist. That's certainly not capitalist. We are a communalistic people, meaning that there's a quote that's part of Ubuntu philosophy. And it says, I am because we are, therefore I am. Meaning that when I hurt myself, I hurt you. When I hurt you, I hurt myself. And that is the way that we looked at life. So therefore, when we destroy nature, when we poison nature, when we do things that are vile toward life, we are violating the rule of communalism, meaning that we are interconnected with all these life forms. So my point of it is that Ujamaa means cooperative economics. At the end of the day, people must have what we call an economy. An economy is basically how you coordinate your work in order to extract what you need for survival from the earth. And so that's what the basis of your economy. So Ujamaa is cooperative work and cooperative economics, meaning that we're going to own things together. You remember when the Native Americans came, when we were brought here and the Europeans came, and the Native Americans was saying that, you know, we don't own the earth, we share the earth. That's again part of the Ujamaa, meaning that, but then when the Europeans came, all of a sudden they couldn't understand that, because, and that's another dynamic there. But the whole point of it is Ujamaa means cooperative economics.
All right, the D is for destroying and for discipline. How are we even thinking past slavery, past Jim Crow? How are we destroying ourselves, and how can we get back to discipline?
There's another African proverb. And it says that poverty is slavery. Poverty is slavery. It also says that, well, I'll save this for the next D. Okay. Now, what that basically means is that the earth is rich, but if we don't know how to interface, interact, and extract from the earth life, then we are going to be impoverished, which means that we're going to be enslaved. Which means that someone else is going to dominate us because we are not going to know how to be self-sufficient. So that's how basically we are destroying ourselves by waiting. For example, today, we place more value on politicians than we do on building Black Wall Streets so that we can provide our own economic life to our communities. We're waiting for somebody to beg somebody, hopefully, and we've been doing this for the last 400 years, waiting for that 40 acres and a mule. When the fact of the matter that we've had probably 10 times more land in the past than we do today. We're losing it because we're waiting for somebody to give us a job when our job is to keep the land, acquire more land, and to build on the land. But that takes Ujamaa. That takes us working together. And unfortunately, we are like Humpty Dumpty. In other words, we are like Humpty Dumpty. We were great people. But you know what they say? Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. The wall was the throne. We were the rulers of the world. But Humpty Dumpty had a what? Had a great fall. Yeah. All the king's horses and all the king men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Yeah. Now, what that story says is this. It's saying that only Almighty God, and I'm talking about the All God, the Almighty God. See that? We say the All Almighty, the All Almighty, the Allah Mighty God is the only one that can put us back together. But as long as we are worshiping other people, as long as we see more power in other people than we see in ourselves, then we will continue on this trek to self-destruction and deterioration.
All right, talk about discipline. How can we get more discipline?
Well, discipline, first of all, discipline comes from a word. It comes from a word that the root word is disciple. Disciple. Now, for example, Jesus, people don't understand this. Jesus was a disciple. Okay? His followers, or his students, I would rather say, were what? Disciples. Now, but Jesus, because of his knowledge, I won't use Jesus, the Christ, because of his knowledge, he gained his discipline from the laws of the universe. But he was taught by John the Baptist from that tradition. And that tradition of John the Baptist, if you go back from John the Baptist, he came from the ancient tradition of the Egyptians, which he gained from the, ultimately from the Kemet, from the Nubians. You know what I'm saying? That was the bridge between the original Asiatic people. So therefore, in other words, so Jesus was a inheritor from the original people. Okay, so my point of it is that a disciple is one who adheres ultimately to the laws of the universe. And for example, we talk a lot about health. You know, we talk a lot about health. Well, we know that, and you know from yourself that you had a certain kind of diet, but you had to discipline yourself in order to change your diet on behalf of your health. What did you do? In disciplining, in other words, you started focusing in on what those things were good for you, right? And those things that were good for you, for your health, came from the supreme good that we call God. Okay? So therefore, when you started doing good, your health started getting what? Better. So therefore, what I'm saying is that we are out of sync. We are disorderly because we have our and we started to worship false, and that's one of the commandments. Do not worship false idols. So therefore, when we worship this world, the money, the cars, the cell phones, the values, basically what we're doing is that we're worshiping idols. We're not looking at worshiping God. We're not worshiping good. So therefore, discipline comes from your embracing good. And what is good? Good is what we call truth. Seek you truth, and the truth shall do what? Set you free. Free from what? Free from slavery. Free from self-destruction. So therefore, being a disciple, now you can be a disciple of the devil. I mean, the devil got disciples too. Do you understand? Okay, so when you talk about discipline, and they got discipline, because the devil's busy. The devil's always working. That's why devil got a lot of. As a matter of fact, we live in a world now that good people, basically, good people because the devil don't like good people, and the devil disciples don't like good people. So, for example, there are people listening right now that love what we're talking about, but there are going to be some people looking to figure, well, he didn't say this, or he should have said that. I mean, in other words, I could say that in a critical type of way, constructively. What I'm trying to say is that in order to dismiss, for example, if I say to you, brother, Black Lives Matter, then you say, well, all lives matter. See, now the devil working now. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The devil working now because we're not talking about all lives matter, okay? Because all lives are not at risk. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So therefore, we're talking about Black Lives Matter. So therefore, they don't want to embrace Black Lives Matter because the devil mentality don't allow them to embrace, okay, goodness in the earth or in the world. So as a result of that, they deflect by saying, well, all lives matter. You see? Which means that I don't have time for no Black lives. You see? Even though I've been part of the destruction of Black lives. So the notion of discipline means that you get in, for us, means that you get in tune with the laws, the universal laws that God, that the supreme, the all God. And we'll talk about what it means. But when I say all God, A-L-L, you know what Allah means? Allah means Allah of gods, because there are different gods. There are different. God is one name throughout history that the supreme being is known as. That some people say Yahweh, some people say Yeshua, some people say Buddha. Some people, Muwa. I mean, there are different names and different ways that people call the supreme being, and those depending upon that society, So God is merely one of the names that throughout the ages that the supreme, the all God, the one that got all the values. Many times society will pick a certain value, and that's what they lean on. And so, in this day and time, God, okay, is the word that we use because of the language. But basically, the discipline comes ultimately from your worship and your embracing of God. And I call it embracing of what is good about this life.
My brother, excellent conversation. If you just tuning in, this is the Hump Day Huddle with Dr. Derrick Hayes, the CEO, Executive Director of Project Rebound Inc. Now, my brother L is for legacy. How important is it to leave a legacy?
Again, that's an African proverb.
Don't apologize, because what you're saying is going to open eyes.
I just got to be me. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
It says that when brothers fight to their death, strangers will inherit the riches and the land of the Father.
Repeat that again. There might be people that didn't catch that.
Okay. When brothers, we've heard a thing that said divide and conquer, right?
Right.
Right. Today, for example, we are divided and we are conquered because we won't unify. We won't do umoja. We won't do harambe. We won't put ourselves together. So therefore, what we're saying, of course, is that the legacy is about us making peace with each other, so that because ultimately we are all in this together. We are in the same boat together. So therefore, divide and conquer is against our communal nature, and as a result of that, we find ourselves in this situation. There's another proverb that says, think about today as being a river. There's a river filled with alligators or crocodiles, right? And there's an African proverb that says, to cross the dangerous river of alligators or crocodiles, you must cross in a crowd. Don't try to cross alone.
Right.
The idea that if we go in a crowd, if we come as a people, as a national people, as a nation in a nation here in America, just as the Japanese, for example, got reparations. The Jewish people got reparations. You know why? Because they identify as a national people. You see? The Native Americans got reparations. Because they identify what? As a national people. The reason why we have a problem with our with our reparation situation, because we want to be what do you call it? American descendants of slaves. No, you can't be no ADOS and get no reparations. You got to be African descendants. You see what I'm saying? My nationality is, I'm a member of the nation. My nation is the NOI. And by the way, the birthday of the NOI is going to be July the 4th. So we celebrate July the 4th, our Liberation Day, our Freedom Day, really, as a nation. But I consider myself, in terms of nationality today, as a Moorish, of the Moorish nation, okay? And as a member of our governmental, so like you got the United States of America, our governmental structure, in my mind, is the Nation of Islam. And it has nothing to do with your religion. I mean, you can be Hebrew, you can be Christian, you can be Sunni, you can be Ahmadiyya, you can be Sufi, you can be whatever, agnostic. You still can be a nation of Islam. Islam means submission to a supreme force, a supreme power. It's a nation of peace. So therefore, my point is that in the United States, you got all kind of people, right? So why can't we, among Japanese, all Japanese are not Buddhists, but they all Japanese. So my point of it is that that's where the problem comes in, our national identity. So I'm saying is that that's where our problem lies to a great extent, is that we're going to have to submit to our national identity as being members of Moors. And one time, because Moors, we were the ones that civilized Europe. Okay, all black people at a point in history were known as Moors. Okay, there was some names we were known at before Moors, but I'm saying that, but the Moorish tribe of us at one point ruled. Okay, so therefore we all became what? He's like, okay, we're here today, right? We live in America, so all of us in America consider what? As Americans. So when we all was under the Moorish rule as black people, that name Moors, that was the last name that we held to a great extent before we were brought here. Because remember that the slavery era started because of the war between the Crusades, pushed us out of Europe, okay, as the Moors. Because we were moving. We was in Spain, Italy, France. Okay, so that was the whole dynamic.
Yeah, because
that's our identity.
Yeah, because the Moors are from 700s to 1400s, like right when they when they, like you said, when they had to push.
Right. So that was our name at that time. I mean, before then we would know, in other words, depending upon what empire would, for example, there are people who were part of the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire. During that time, all the people who was up under the empire were what? They're part of Mali. So my point is that at the time of that period, when we were taken from here to the Americas, taken to Haiti, to the other islands, they were taking us as prisoners of war. A prisoner of war, we were brought to the Americas as prisoners of war. We were made to work slave labor. We are not slaves. We are not descendants of slaves. We're the descendants of anything. We're descendants of the Moors.
I appreciate that.
Who were required to work for free.
Hey, I appreciate that. We're at the last letter of the huddle. The E is for ends with my great brother, Dr. J.L.N. Hud. This is the Hump Day Huddle. This Wednesday. It's not just the Hump Day. Sometimes you got to come in the huddle so you get your play, so you can go the right way. And the E is for end, my brother. Okay. And then, what'd you say?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, can you leave us with a few keys to success? Because before they break this huddle, they need some plays. They need some bullet points. They need some juice. They need some produce.
Okay. Let me share this with you. There's a quote that says, and this is a biblical quote: "He who lacks knowledge will suffer." What you're doing right now is feeding our community an opportunity. And I don't know, again, like I said, I'm just giving you the best truth that I have. And anyone want to challenge this truth, I think that's good. That we, it's just like when Pharaoh and Moses met. You see, Pharaoh threw down his truth in the staff. Moses threw down his truth in the staff. And Moses' truth was greater, so the Pharaoh had to submit to the truth. And that was why he let that group of black people that was called Hebrews at that time because of some dynamics, that was just a ethnicity. That's not a nationality, but it's just an ethnicity. But they all were part of the original people. So we all are original people. We all are chosen people. It's not just the Hebrews. It's not just the Jews. Every people name means chosen people. So that's one thing that I want to say to you. The second thing is that he who knows and knows not that he knows not is dangerous. Don't follow them. In other words, there are people who can only lead you to the next election. Now, I'm one of the people that believe that when you're in a war, that you use every weapon at your disposal. So I'm not one of the people that say, oh, don't vote. Okay? I'm one of the people that say, vote by any means necessary. Whatever it takes for us to obtain our liberation, we must do that. So that's where when we talk about today, we're following the blind, leading the blind. So we must stop following the 85% of the blind, deaf and dumb people. Okay? That's the second piece. The third piece is a people without a vision. A people without a vision will perish. Now, it's one thing to suffer without knowledge. But at least, even if you don't have the knowledge, if you have a vision, you won't perish. So what I'm saying is that today I'm offering a vision. And I hope that you can read between the lines, read on top of the line that on this day, well, brother, and we're gonna get your original name too, brother. I've been thinking about you. We're gonna get you all. We got an original name for you. I'm gonna introduce it to you at the right point because you good with words, so I know your spirit, so I'm gonna let you know about that. But let it be known that on this day that we tried to feed our people the nourishment that is required for us to become healthy people. And a healthy people is a self-fulfilling, self-sufficient, God-conscious people. So those are the three things that I would end with. And I would end also with this to close it out is that I would say Mayat Hotep. I would say Shalom. I would say Somotebi. I would say See you later, alligator. After wild crocodile. I would say Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Peace be unto you.
So, thank you, brother. Pleasure being here with you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hump Day Huddle with my good friend, Dr. Jaylene Hudd, CEO and Director of Project Rebound Inc. Check him out on his website, www.projectreboundinc.org. And what's the phone number once again?
706-221-4830. And let me just give a commercial real quick, brothers, that if you're in the Columbus, Georgia area, we have an alliance that we call the Black Wall Street Cooperative Alliance. Our brother Derrick, he's a part of that. And basically it's an alliance of Ujamaa, trying to build our cooperative economics. You don't have to have a business, but you are a business person, whether you have a business or not. You have a business. If you don't have a business, we will give you a business. You tell us what kind of business you want, then we will help you build that business. That's what it's all about, keeping those dollars inside of our community so that we can strengthen our economy and do the things that we need to do with our vision, okay? Because we do have a vision. And also, I'd like to say that for you on Facebook, that we have a group called Million More Movement Alumni. Million More Movement Alumni. I put in a request to join that group, and we can keep you up abreast on many things. And I just again thank the Almighty, for allowing me to be here with you today. And of course, remember that the key thing is during this pandemic is not taking some foreign vaccine, but building up what God has given you, strengthening your immune system physically. But you also have to strengthen your economic immune system by joining organizations like Black Wall Street Cooperative Alliance. You have to strengthen your intellectual immune system by getting knowledge through. We have a bookstore called Euphoria Books House. Euphoria Books Book House. It's by appointment only. We give you the number, but we have knowledge. We have workshops. We have classes. We have group discussions. All of these things to give your intellectual immune system. And we also have Euphoria House of Wellness for your spiritual evolution and growth. Regardless of what your religious orientation is, if you want to grow spiritually, because religion and spirituality is different. And maybe that's another discussion for another day and time. But if you want to grow spiritually, then Euphoria House of Wellness, we're there for you to help you grow into the being, to the sunbeam that you should be.
Hey, I appreciate your time, my brother. But
thank you.
The coolest thing about today, about this moment is be our regular conversations. But I wanted to share part of my life with you all that I'm a part of on a regular basis. And what keeps me sharp, keeps me thinking, keeps me on my feet. Not my FEET, but my FEAT. So people got right. once them 10 toes hit the ground, you already succeed.
And the devil gets scared.
Right. But the devil, if you turn the word devil around, it spells out live. You know, if you haven't lived, then your focus is always gonna be on the devil.
Right,
And,
right. And that's the only way you're gonna live. If you go the opposite of the devil, then you'll live. But that again, you go against the devil, you live. If you go with the devil, you die.
and you just inspire something, because like when you look at the word opposite, you got op on one side and sight on the other. You know, if you go opposite, you're gonna see a beautiful sight on the other end.
That's right.
Like I always say, subscribe to all my channels at Entertainer, all social media platforms, even on Cash App. I'm bringing you the best minds in the game. They don't always play basketball. They don't always run up and down the field. Sometimes they just fill your mind with the energy and the hope, the admiration. They give you the inspiration to get on your feet and move to a different beat. And like I tell you, work on your skills, work on your game, work on your craft. Because when people see you, when they hear you, when they see what you do, it may be the only school that they ever see. And like I tell people, until next time, I thank each and every one of you for your time.